In this episode, we're hanging with strong-willed mama, Tami Overhauser. You'll get some practical tips to raise your strong-willed kids.
Maybe your strong-willed employees and spouses as well. Welcome to Season 4, Episode 4 of the Purpose Pro Podcast. Our mission is to connect you to your unique design and purpose. If you love simple and effective ways to lead yourself and others well, this podcast is definitely for you. And on this episode, we have author, speaker, and mentor to women, Tami Overhauser. We are excited to have you. She's here talking about her new book entitled The Strong-Willed Mama, which is really a large dose of encouragement to all the weary mamas out there doing their best to manage strong-willed kiddos. And in so doing, Zach and I have found a lot of interesting parallels about how we manage strong-willed people in our life in general. So we're going to dive into that. So whether you're a parent, leader, or both, there's a lot in this episode. Tami, thank you for being here. This is cool.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
I remember it was like a year ago, and I saw you sharing your heart for the book, and I was like, she's got to be on the podcast. It was a slow burn, but here we are.
Here we are. We're doing it.
So, full
Glad to be
disclaimer,
here.
like in thinking about your book, Strong-Willed Mama, in raising strong-willed kids, I was one of those kids. And so to any parent that needs a little hope, like I turned things around. I turned out all right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I was thinking, wouldn't it be funny if Tami didn't have any strong-willed kids, and she was like one of those moms that stares down the other moms at HEB and is like, I'm tired of this. I'm going to write a book on how other mothers should control their children. And therefore, it's called The Strong-Willed Mama.
There you go.
Is that about
that's
the
not
history?
the premise. No. Well, which is actually funny because I have 4 children, 2 girls and then 2 boys. And my girls, and I write about this, they were relatively easy to raise. And I say they would put their, wear their bows and not take them out, which is a big deal for girl moms. And I thought I was the perfect mom. And this is so easy. I don't understand the lady in HEB or the lady in Costco who cannot clearly get it together. And I was so judgy. And then I had 2 boys. I had my son Adam, who I focus on a lot in the book. And I was like, oh, this is what they're talking about. I'm so sorry. I went to apologize to everybody. I'm so sorry. And then I realized, and that's where the Strong-Willed Mama was birthed, was raising my sons.
Was that your mama, Zach? Like apologizing to everybody? I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Now I just say, you are doing so good. This is so hard.
I really, here's the deal. Growing up, I look like a good kid on the outside.
Okay.
I was just really, really good at hiding everything.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mom.
The silent, yet strong-willed child.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here's it. You pushed your luck.
We know
you
about
like
you.
doubled down. So I have one kid. I'm one and done. Like I've got a pretty good kid right now. So we're stop there.
Yeah, stop there. Right. You got.
I've got a 2-year-old. So
you've got. I feel like every 2-year-old strong-willed, but maybe not. Can we talk about what is strong-willed? Because I feel like there's a lot of stereotypes on strong-willed. So when you say strong-willed child, what exactly describes a strong-willed child?
That's a good question. For me, and I've had women, DM me saying, it resonated or it didn't resonate, and I'm not talking about like a brat. I'm just talking about assertive. I feel like strong-willed children are born that way. They're hardwired. I feel like it's God's answer to the depravity going on around us. I feel like God said, here, raise this one. Here, raise this one, and do a good job and send them out to combat the evils. Not like they're superheroes, but do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I'm saying a child hardwired with grit, maybe, hardwired with resilience, hardwired to be independent. My son was off and running, doing his own thing from the get-go. But in that, you have to say, like, you can't run in the street. I hate you. I'm running in the street. I'm running away naked. You're like, okay, we're not doing that. Like, and your sisters didn't do that. I don't understand why you're not. Because it's just hardwired. And so when it happens, you go, oh, crap. Like, what the heck? I didn't deserve this. I didn't sow this. I don't even know what to do with it. And it's like, it catches you way more by surprise than you think. Like, oh, parenting's hard. Oh, but no. Oh, God, really, really, really hard. And so it's that hardwired. I always say my son was someone wound him really tight. And there's some crossovers with, ADHD or spectrum disorders, not necessarily in my son, but you do see the overlap, But it was what I always tell moms. There's a chapter in the book: parent the child you have, not the one you wish you had. And so I could wish all day long that he was compliant, that he would sit at the kitchen table, that he would go to bed when I say go to bed, that he wouldn't, I always say my girls, I'd say, time to put your crayons up. And they would go, yes, ma'am, and put them up. And my son would be like, snap them in half and chew on the red one and spit at you. And you're like, what? I don't know why that's happening at all. But it is happening. It catches you by surprise. And then there is just the truckload of mommy shame that comes along with it. Why? I must be a bad mom. And then you hide and behind your screen. I'm fine, I'm good. Look at this beautiful picture of my son doing a beautiful thing. And no one, it's like an unspoken thing. How would I know that you're hurting, or how would I know that there's a community that I can engage in? Because it's this shame. And so the book was like, hey, I see you, and come out wherever you are. Let me help you. Let's band together. But to answer your question, those hardwired, strong-willed, independent from the get-go, James Dobson says they come out of the delivery room smoking a cigar.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah. So you tapped on so many great things in there. So I'm going to break down a couple of things you said, because very early on in the book, you do talk about, well, first let's talk about the strengths of a strong-willed child. Mm-hmm. And so you're naming some of them, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. And so when you look at your kiddo in particular, others, what are the things that you focus on and say, man, this is a great quality?
Mm-hmm. Definitely leadership. Okay. Definitely independence early on. That grit that we talk about, which I think is a lost element in this generation. Life itself doesn't forge your grit so much as it used to, but it's hardwired with grit, the stick-to-itness, the entrepreneurial, the inventors. The leaders of this generation are in those strong-willed children. There's some sassy and back talking, but that is a little bit of behavior modification. I don't think it's necessarily goes with being strong-willed.
To that. So I remember a point when I was a teenager and growing up, I was like, I'm either going to be a pastor or a drug dealer.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Shared strengths, similar strengths in both avenues.
Shared strengths.
It was all about how I steward those gifts, right? I'm going to build community. I'm going to lead people. The question is, where am I going to lead people and to what end?
Right.
So it's not easy to develop and cultivate those gifts in these kids. It might be easier just to check out and get on your phone.
Right.
It's worth it.
Yeah, because it is so hard. It is so hard. I would love it if he wanted to, and both my boys, but Adam in particular, play Barbies. We'd say play Barbies like it's an event with my girls, or play. But no, he wanted to go, never napping, always running. And so I feel like getting in on what makes your strong-willed child tick. And when you can tap into what makes them tick, they come alive. And there's a little rebellion wrapped up in the strong, because I don't know, I feel like men are hardwired to lead and go and conquer, and it's almost like this leaving and cleaving from day one. Why are you leaving me already? That's not even, I didn't think that was going to happen until you were 18, 19, but you're showing those characteristics out the gate. And it's so you're like, wait, yes, I want you to go, but blah, blah, blah. So hard. And so when you find and even in the workplace, when you find what makes this guy tick, when you find what project he can manage and you don't even have to check, that's fantastic. That's a strong-willed leader. He might rub people the wrong way, right? But you're like, you go. And so I had to take him to the soccer field. I had to take him to the basketball court. I had to take him to the football field. I had to take him to the water parks and just go. I'm like, I am exhausted. This is why motherhood is supposed to be from 13 to I'm so exhausted with this kid. But you have to do what makes them tick.
Right. No, I think that's spot on. So there's a lot of parallels here that we want to talk about when it comes to leaders and strong-willed employees, let's just say, strong-willed team members, because at the core of it, there's a clash really on leadership and direction and somewhat. Yeah, as you were talking, I was thinking about the qualities of just that strong-willed child, and as they grow, I'm wondering, do you find that there is in strong-willed children, there's like a relational deficit in terms of they need to be taught the relational skills because they are so in their head of like the way it should be, the way they want it, the way they see it, the way like that they need to stop and consider other people's perspective a little bit more?
I wouldn't say across the board, but I would definitely say there's an element of that there. Yeah. And it just comes with, I don't know what, I've never led in the workplace like y'all are talking about, but definitely in the home, you have to stop and help them be considerate, help them be humble. There's a little pride, and I can do it, it's easy for me. Why isn't it easy for you? I think I see that in my husband happens to be very strong-willed.
Yeah, some strong-willed
you
kids
cannot
grow up to be
just
strong-willed
steamroll
adults.
us because you think you're right, you know, and what do I want to say? Not bullheaded, you know, like forging forward. But I do remember the little preschool that the boys went to, and I dropped them off, and I was 8:30 in the morning, I'm already exhausted and crying. And she said, "What do you think we're doing here, raising a bunch of wimps?" I thought, that changed my whole world. I'm like, I'm going to go home and write a book about that. Thank you very much. That's chapter, whatever. You know, but like, what am I raising? Wimps? What are we doing here? And so that's when I'm like, I'm raising world changers, world leaders, movers and shakers, and it's not going to be easy. And so my pitch with the book was to find the moms who are doing that too and help them and see them and encourage them. And
hey there, listeners and leaders. It's Aaron here. So sorry to interrupt this amazing conversation and interview with Tami Overhauser, but I just wanted to pop in and give a quick shout out to Buffalo Framing and Truss. They're a Purpose Pro podcast sponsor of the episode, so if you're in the construction industry, I'm sure you understand the framing phase of each project can be so difficult to manage. But with Buffalo Framing and Truss, they've been in the business for over 30 years, and they've worked extremely hard to be one of the most respected framing and truss companies in Central Texas. So we know that you can trust them to deliver outstanding framing services and truss products. So visit buffaloframing.com to experience the Buffalo difference, or you can give them a call at 512-670-2300. Now, let's get back to Joe and Zach.
Yeah, you said something which actually you have a chapter on it, and it was parent the child you have, not the one you wish you had, right? You know, and I imagine that there is it does take a while to adjust to the fact that I'm going to have to, especially if you have multiple kiddos. Yeah. This one has a different manual than the other one.
Yep, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so, I mean, is that when you talk to other mothers out there, parents out there with strong-willed kids, do you feel like that's at the source of the tension? Is they have not, there's missed expectations, as you said it, right? The parent has an expectation of the way they think their kid should be, and they're not that way,
right?
And it's constant conflict.
Yes, because what I did with the girls isn't, I thought I was such a good mom, and I thought I had a formula, and then I do those same things with the boys, and it's not working. But I think that's where there's the space to rely on God and the Holy Spirit, and this is bigger than me, and so I'm going to go to Him for the answers. I'm going to, I personally would search the scriptures and what it says, and pray on my hands and knees every single day for the strength and the creativity and the encouragement. You know, what if every day's not perfect? You're gonna fall apart. That's what we're doing here. So there was some grit and some fortitude forged in me, and that's why it's a strong-willed mama, because this is the work that God is doing in the parent. It's not about you. It's really not about them. Parenting it's like He's got you a captive audience for 20 years, 25 years, depending on how many kids you have, 18 at the least. That's the gig. You're doing 18 years. I think it's a hard time. You're doing 18 years, right? And so if He has you as a captive audience, why not pour into you? Why not transform you and your child at the same time, if you'll listen, if the parents will turn towards God and go, oh my gosh, oh my God, help me do this. And there the new blueprint comes.
Yeah. I mean, that's almost book number 2, right? Like strong-willed kids raising strong mamas and papas.
That's right.
I've learned so much about myself and how to connect to other people.
Right. Yes.
Not everyone's like me. Right? Like we don't all think the exact same.
Right.
We are unique. And so I have to think outside. I have to know myself. I have to be patient. And I have to actually care about the other person. But then I've got to learn the other person in order to connect with them.
You know how the old saying, when if a parent's going to discipline their child, they say, this is going to hurt me more than it hurts you. That's how I feel. Like God is, this is about you, and I'm transforming you as you transform your child.
And I would have been that strong-willed kid that's like, give me the belt. Yeah, this hurts me more than it hurts you. Then like, let's trade places.
I know. Is that all you have? That's what my son said to me one time. That's all you got? I'm like, oh.
The other book that could be written here is how to lead the strong-willed team member, right? And I feel like there's so much of what you said that I find that we're saying to leaders all the time. Because how many times do we come across leadership conversations where people are complaining about their team, their employees, certain folks, that if only they had better folks, right, they would be able to reach their goals, move faster, further. And we're always wishing we had this like Marvel superhero team of employees, and it prevents us from managing the employees that we do have and leading them well. And it's like, no, like take everything that you already have and start asking yourself the same question you would ask yourself as a parent. How do I lead them to the next step? Where's the gaps? Let's identify the gaps, and let's create a plan to close those gaps with our leadership, with our modeling, with strategy, with plans, with relationship.
Right. Well, relationship is huge. And the thing about strong-willed children is you really don't need to micromanage them. And I think a lot of the tension comes when you do. And same in the workplace. If you've hired this person, right? And you like their strengths, so play to their strengths. Yeah. Play to their strengths and let them run with it. You let them run with it. I know Pastor Dave at our church, he always says, if someone can do it, I think it's 70 or 75% as good as you can, then you let them do it. And that's hard as a leader to just let. But it's worked well with our staff, and I think it's a tribute to the strong-willed employee where you say, go, do it. You know, they don't need to be micromanaged, and that's fantastic. I had to learn that as teenagers. I'm like, where are you going? Great. Do you need any help? No. Okay. I'll be outside by the pool.
If the idea really is multiplication, then it's seeing the value in that person, then trusting them and trusting what you've invested in them. And so I know for me, like a big motivator was autonomy. Like, do you trust me? Are you going to let me go? Will you let me fail? Like, do I even have room to fail, or do I have to do everything perfectly? So
yeah. I mean, one of the practical pieces of advice that you give is really honing in and understanding, what I would term as the design of your kiddo, right? Obviously that's near and dear to our heart here. That's the whole core part of our mission, is helping teens, young adults, and adults understand their unique design. And I think that's so right on. And, as a parent of 3 teenagers myself, each one of them is different. And so my job is to get to the core of what are their strengths, what are their experiences, their passions, their talents, their values, their motivators, which seems like a lot of questions that a parent would say, wow, you have to discover those over time. Well, actually, no, you don't. We created a way you can discover all that in an hour. And that's called the Purpose Project. So we highly encourage you to take advantage of that and go to purposepro.org to sign up for a workshop there. But, one of the things that I'm experimenting as an organization that we're doing is we're starting to take adults and their kids through the Purpose Project together. And when I say kids, I mean really teenagers, right? 14 and up. And what we're finding is that when you put them together and both parties are starting to deep dive into their experiences and their values and their passions and their personality types, there's such self-awareness that begins to take place, where the parents are starting to see their teens in a different light. Teens are starting to see their parents in a way they never saw them before. And there's like this mutual understanding and respect that starts to get formed. It doesn't solve every issue, but it feels like it fast forwards the maturity and growth that happens in a teenager by several years.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Right? And so what, in order to lead a strong-willed child effectively, what practical tips do you give to parents? What are some of the things that they're going to find in the book?
Well, what we've been saying, I think we said it a couple of times, is parent the child you have, not the one you wish you had. Let go of those expectations of perfect or easy or compliant. Play to their strengths. Study them. I had to there was a come to Jesus weekend with my son when he was younger, and I came away from that like, I need to study him. He's having a fair amount of anxiety. Okay, how can I, in parenting in general, how can I be proactive? How can I, and for years my husband would say, like, you've gone soft, because how can I stop this, issue from happening? Like, let's nip it in the bud. Let's cut it off at the pass, right? And so study them and say, okay, if he doesn't like getting in the car on a whim, then don't put him in the car on a whim. There'll be plenty of times when he has to get in the car. Yo, your brother fell and hit. Everyone get in the car. Like, no questions asked. But, like, it made him so anxious to, like, I need to know, where are we going? How far is everything's 15 minutes, just by the way, parenting.
Yeah, good
Pro tip, everything is 15 minutes, 15 minutes. Because 10, you're probably lying to me, 20 in the car, 15 minutes, and so study your child, praise, and a really long rope. Like, let them do things. Let the strong-willed child, let them do things. Right, and across the board, behavior modification is always good. No one's allowed to be sassy. No one's allowed to be disrespectful. No one's allowed to hit each other. It's not like, oh, I'm just letting him go, doing his thing. No, there are rules. There's hard, fast rules. But in that, let the strong-willed child do his thing and get in on it. You're going to be exhausted at the end of the day, but what's the alternative? Constant headbutting, because I want to go outside. I want to go to the soccer field. I want to do it. You'll be exhausted too. Everyone will sleep well. It'll be great.
Zach, are you just processing this all through the lens of being a dad to a 2-year-old?
Oh,
right now?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just trying to learn from those who have gone before me.
Yeah. Well, so, I mean, you have a strong-willed child, strong-willed wife as well, so.
Yeah.
So
yeah. My wife's a redhead.
Yes.
And she was a wrestler.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know she was a wrestler.
Yeah. Poor Eli's got his work cut out for him.
Love knowing that.
So.
Oh yeah.
Yep. I get a double dose at the house. Eli's already got a scar above his brow. Oh. He's all over the place and into everything. I love his creativity.
Yeah.
I love how he's like, no fear.
They say apples don't fall far from the tree.
I've got to figure out how to harness this. Not before it kills him, but before it kills me.
Right.
So,
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But you're already doing that. You're studying him. You can see, and play to his strengths for sure.
I am. I'm watching him. I'm trying to figure out this whole self-awareness thing for myself, but also for him. And then, do you do Enneagram?
I was driving here. I thought they were going to ask me that. I do. I have.
There's no. Joe hates it. He's a Myers-Briggs guy.
I'm not a fan. I'm a Myers-Briggs guy.
Yeah.
It's whatever.
Yeah, behind any person. I'm just trying to think, how do I screw my kid up in the right way?
I know.
So that he's cool and strong and solid when he's older. And really steps into his influence. So.
Just model that. I think you're modeling that already. Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah.
And then we talk about it a lot, but being authentic and like just getting in their world.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. Because the alternative and the temptation is to shrink back. This is hard, and then when you're too hard on your kid, where you chastise them for just being who they are, just being strong-willed, like, stop it, be normal, act normal. Please don't ever say that, like, act normal. I mean, I know I've said it, act normal, stop it, why?
Yeah.
No, you got to get in on it.
And as a strong-willed kid, I think I gravitate towards where I feel like I'm winning. Like where I'm good at this. And so I'm just going to double down on that. And so whether that's like getting laughs or you know, fighting for my autonomy, or if I get the praises of my parents, I think I double down on that too.
Sure.
So.
Yeah.
Tammy, the advice you give goes far beyond the book, because you're also coaching and mentoring women. So talk to us about that.
That's right. That's really the passion, and the book was sort of the shoot the arrow and see who it hits and who comes forth. Like, I've had a lot of women come to the website and DM me or whatever, saying, oh my gosh, it's like you're standing in it's like you're watching my family. How did you even know? And I'm so that was the win right there for me, because I feel like women are parenting is lonely, motherhood is lonely, There's so much keeping up with the Joneses, and then these days it's easier to hide behind your social media, hide behind a glass of wine, hide behind the Netflix. Good Lord, we could binge, forever, and self-medicate. And so where are these women? And I want to sit with them and encourage them and say, I always say, parenting is tough, but so are you. Thanks. And you can do this. You're equipped. You're called. God knew what he was doing. He said, hey, you raise this one for me, please. And I want to help you. I've been there. I did it. Let me sit like this. Let's have coffee. Let's talk. I've had a lot of Zoom calls, people out of state, whatever. But I want to help you get through this season of life, whether it's 18 years or 25 like me, and do it successfully and be transformed. Like, let's let God work on us, right? And we don't come out of it all battle scarred and like, there'll be days like that, but certainly not out the end of it like that. Mm-hmm. So that's my hope, is to start mentoring women, and I just have visions of a big ministry where we're catering to all kinds of women and their struggles and their issues, and this being the sort of leading out with, hey, mamas, where are you?
Yeah. I love how you're investing in families and how you're investing in the next generation. Mm-hmm. It's necessary in some crazy days.
Days, yeah. And I don't want anyone falling through the cracks in these crazy days. So.
Yeah, I think one of the most humbling things that I have to keep reminding myself, even though, as adults, we all have our own set of ambitions and things that we want to do, but, at the end of the day, our legacy may not be what we accomplish, but who we raise, right? And that's
absolutely,
and that's
Amen
why
to
it's
that.
one of the things we can't get weary, and
No.
if you find yourself weary in the battle, it's good to have friends that you can vent to, you can share to, and that provide empathy, a listening ear, but you also need people that can couple that with strategy, and
sure.
and that's why I would encourage parents to reach out to you, mamas, let's start a conversation
That's
with
right.
Tami.
Takes a village.
It does. It absolutely does.
Yeah.
Before we go though, I want to make sure everybody knows how to get a hold of you,
Sure.
book, website, all that kind of stuff. But we've been talking about leadership pet peeves, okay, this season, and so you actually had a good leadership pet peeve we were talking about a few minutes ago before we clicked record. What was that?
Oh, I was saying a leader with an agenda in a meeting, and when they kind of like a teacher will do, they'll ask the question.
That was right. Yeah.
Ask the question, but they know the answer, and so you answer, and they go, anybody else? Anybody else? You're like, oh, I missed the mark. And so instead of like, I enjoy a think tank, right? So instead of a think tank, maybe a leader or a teacher or whatever who, it's like rigged.
Yeah.
I don't like my meetings rigged.
Yeah. Just tell me the answer.
Tell me and I'll say it. We can go to lunch. Right. Yeah.
Right.
That's my leadership pet peeve.
Or people they ask for input and advice. They really don't want input and advice. No. They want to hear all the ideas.
I want you to agree with me.
Yeah. I want you to come to my conclusion.
Exactly. I would give you the illusion that your ideas and thoughts matter when they really don't, because I already know what I'm going to do.
Right.
And I just want you to feel like you had some input.
There's so much wisdom to this book and so many parallels between like raising kids and raising developing leaders.
Yeah.
So same thing with your kids, right? Like if you ask their input but don't really care about their input, if you already know the conclusion you want them to get to,
don't ask.
Don't ask.
And the strong-willed child will see through you
and give you the opposite answer right off the bat. Yeah. So leadership or sub-parenting is manipulation. Agree or disagree?
Mm-hmm. Say that again.
Leadership and or parenting is manipulation.
I feel like it can be at times, but
in a healthy way, I disagree.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like when you as you're saying that, I'm picturing like doing a Jedi mind trick on the people that.
Sometimes it is Inception style leadership on my 2-year-old or my team, right?
Yeah.
But I
maybe guidance. Manipulation has negative connotations in and of itself, so I would say it's all
like you're trying to force your own agenda.
You will eat your carrots.
Fits your pet peeves. Yeah.
You will eat your carrots.
This is good. Well, the book is Strong-Willed Mama. You can get it on Amazon. You go to the website, TamiOverhauser.com. So it's TAMI.
Yes.
OVERHAUSER. AUSER.com. You don't have to worry about it. If you're just listening to this, you're just going to go to the show notes. We'll have links all over the place for this thing.
The strongwilledmama.com gets you there too. So
strongwilledmama.com. There you go. That's much easier. Instagram, just your name.
Tami Overhauser.
Yep. Definitely want to follow on Instagram. At minimum, you need to follow her Instagram. But we really encourage you to reach out, go to the website, explore the coaching, the mentoring, and get more plugged in. You're sending out newsletters too, right? People can subscribe and follow you, right?
Yes, you can subscribe, and some encouragement's going out. I'm going to start doing some free 30-minute Strong Willed Mama pep talks. And and then we'll see about mentoring from there. So it's going to be up on the website to click the link to get a free 30-minute pep talk.
Sweet.
Love it.
Yeah. But yes,
I'll put on a wig. I'm going to sign up. A Zoom call. I'll take a pep talk.
Like, Zach, is that you?
So good.
Yeah. No, that's good. Well, thanks you so much for
you're welcome.
Being on.
It's been great. So much fun.
Yeah. So we're excited to see where this goes. And so if you're listening, you got ideas for other episodes and podcasts that you want to share with us, we highly encourage you to reach out to us and talk to us. We're pretty approachable folks. You can tell we're just having real conversations here. And so we will respond to you, we promise. So hit us up, purposepropodcast.com. You'll find a lot of different resources and links there, and how to get a hold of us. So, all right, we'll talk to you guys in a week.
Until next time.